The writ period started 36 days ago on this campaign, and you may recall that it kicked off with Justin Trudeau calling me names.
Welcome back to Northern Perspective, everyone. I'm Cypher.
And I'm Fox. Last night was the by-election for the federal riding of Durham after Erin O'Toole had stepped down, and the political world got to see if the federal polling numbers were accurate.
Now, in case you don't remember who was running for the Conservatives for Durham, we want to take you back to a video we did before on this. Remember this guy?
Justin Trudeau is talking about me today. Now, during a speech to his Liberal caucus, Trudeau referred to me as a twofer.
And now, Pierre Poilievre's new candidate in Durham is a twofer.
Now, I'm not exactly sure what that means in reference to a human being. I'm also not sure how the Prime Minister has time to be name-calling when he should be trying to save his failed administration. But I thought I would take this as an opportunity to introduce myself, since you certainly can't take Justin Trudeau's word for it. I'm recording this video where I live, the place I rent in Oshawa. I've lived in Durham region for years. In fact, I used to record a national talk radio show for News Talk 1010 at a home studio in an Oshawa apartment. My sister, her husband, and their very cute golden doodle also call Durham region home. This is a place that I have planted roots in. It's a place I care about. It's a place I hope to represent in Parliament if that is the will of the people of Durham.
Yeah, that was pretty stupid, Trudeau. You made Jamil famous, which only served to garner more support for him. He won by a landslide. And here is his victory speech.
The writ period started 36 days ago on this campaign, and you may recall that it kicked off with Justin Trudeau calling me names. He called me a twofer, which some of you probably still haven't figured out what that means. I know it's very confusing. It was an odd time. But what I think, what was very interesting to me about it is I think it sort of signaled a few things that are worth remembering tonight as we celebrate this victory. The first is that Justin Trudeau doesn't really know what to do with people like me, and doesn't know what to do with a lot of people in this room. He looks at us and he thinks that his party owns us and owns our communities. He looks at me and sees a millennial, son of an African immigrant, grandson of a public school custodian, survivor of cancer thanks to our public healthcare system, and raised by a single mother. And he thinks that people like me owe his party something, that we have to fall in line behind his party. I obviously disagree. I think there are many conservatives like me. There are many conservatives who acknowledge that in 2024, it is our party that best represents the values of our communities. And in the candidates we nominate for the upcoming general election, and in the room right now, where you can look around and see the diversity of Canada is present here, you will see that Justin Trudeau better get used to it, because it's not changing anytime soon. No. He also likes calling people names because he likes to distract us from the issues that actually matter to Canadians and from the issues that people were motivated to vote on today. He wants us, having our eyes off the ball. And if there's anything I've learned from Pierre Poilievre and his fantastic team, it is the importance of focus and discipline so that we can get the job done of bringing change to this country. And I think you all are on board with that. I hope. Yes. Yeah. We have called this a carbon tax election. I said this 36 days ago. I said it earlier today. And the reason why is not just because of the financial penalty of the carbon tax. Of course, that is a serious issue. It is due to go up again 23% on April 1st. But it's also because of what the carbon tax symbolizes to people. Just 10 minutes from here, we were door knocking, as we are known to do, across the street from the South Curtis Hockey Arena.
and a father who voted for the Liberal Party the last 3 elections, even had a Liberal sign on his lawn, told me he cannot vote for them again. And the reason is because of the carbon tax. And I was confused because I said to him, well, the carbon tax was an issue in 2019 and 2021, so why is it a problem for him now? Why is he making a voting decision based on the issue now? And what he explained to me was that it symbolized betrayal. That as life was getting more expensive for him and his wife and their daughter, as the cost of everything was going up and up, the Liberal Party decided they were still going to raise taxes on this man, making life even harder. And he really thought the Liberals and the Prime Minister cared about him. And his heart was broken to realize that they were putting a political agenda over people. So when we talk about what's happening in the country right now, I do think it is the liberal elites betraying the working people of this country, betraying the middle class, betraying the working class. And when I say liberal elites, I am talking about Justin Trudeau and the Liberal Party, but not just them. I'm also talking about the liberal elites who run big banks and big telecommunications companies, driving up the cost of everything. I am also talking about the liberal elites who run the Ontario Ministry of Education in this province. I'm also talking about the liberal elites who are activists and academics and trying to consistently undermine law enforcement and public safety, leaving the most vulnerable Canadians with fewer protections from our justice system. When you want to spot them, it's pretty easy, and it's bigger than partisan politics. They're the people pushing DEI and ESG initiatives while hiking up the cost of living for hardworking people. They are the people who virtue signal and engage in performance theater while your life gets harder. And they're the people who serve the interests of a privileged few and make you feel like a bad person for expecting our country to work for you. And they are wrong. The liberal elites in this country are wrong, absolutely. You are not a bad person for believing that Canada should work for those who do the work. And I will never forget that father across the street from the South Curtis Hockey Arena. I will not forget his wife or his daughter, and I will not forget the tens of thousands of people I met in Oshawa and Curtis and Scugog who feel the exact same way he does. Hardworking people in this country deserve a voice in the House of Commons. Hardworking people in this country want change. Pierre Poilievre will deliver that change, and we will have his back on the way. So, I thank you all very much for being here. I thank the good Lord above for his protective hand over me and all of us during this process. And I ask that God bless each and every one of you, and God bless Canada. Let's go.
That was a really good speech.
That was excellent.
That was really, really good. We didn't want to interrupt it because we just, I thought that would be disrespectful.
Yeah, it was so good. We didn't want to stop it.
And wow, that story about that father that he was talking about that voted for the Liberals, that was actually kind of tearing me up, because this is the problem with so many Liberal voters across Canada. They were sold this bill of goods by Justin Trudeau, and they thought that he had their best interests at heart. So they kept faith in him. And they are realizing now that he never, ever had their best interests at heart. He only had his own interests at heart, and to fill his pockets and all of his buddies. And that's what they're seeing now. Like, they're seeing, wait a minute, like, Liberals, we're struggling out here. We're dying out here. Aren't you going to stop the carbon tax? No.
No, and on top of that, they'll be giving themselves raises on April 1st, too.
Right. If only the rest of Canada got raises on April 1st, right? If only the rest of Canada got raises, period. But this is what's going on. So, but This is the thing, folks. This is why you don't demonize the voters, because this father and his family changed their vote.
Well, and that's it. That's what we've always said. Like, we don't demonize people for the way they voted in the past. It's important to have productive and empathetic conversations with people who have voted Liberal, people who have voted NDP, etc., and tell them, this is why I'm voting Conservative. Why don't you have a look at this? Can I tell you about that? And just have these empathetic, understanding conversations with people, and you'll bring them around.
And remember, right now, the Conservative Party is running on the platform of essentially traditional values in Canada. And part of those traditional values is that we heal and come together through conversation, even if we disagree. Right? And that's how you heal a country. Justin Trudeau has no interest in healing this country. All of you know that. It's pretty obvious because all he does is demonize people. And then he says, we know people are having a hard time, but we've done all of these wonderful things, so you should thank us.
Yeah, he gaslights us.
So, anyhow, we're going to get to the results of the Durham by-election. But before we do, we wanted to show you what 338 Canada was projecting in terms of the polling that they had amalgamated for the riding of Durham.
Now, keep in mind, this is Aaron O'Toole's old riding, and Jamil Jivani just won by the biggest margin in over 20 years in this riding. That's huge.
So let's see what it was projected as. So 55% Conservative, 20% Liberal, 20% NDP, 3% PPC. That was the projections. Interesting that the Liberals and the NDP were neck and neck here. But this has always been a Conservative stronghold, as Fox said, so it was pretty safe to see that the Conservatives were going to retain this riding.
And here are the official results from Elections Canada from last night.
So, Jamil Jivani, 18,610 votes, 57.4% of the vote. And Robert Rock, as Justin Trudeau said, our guy, Robert Rock. Now, this is the guy who tried running for the Conservative nominee and got into kind of a pissing match with Michelle Ferreri via email and telling her that she was all wrong for the advice that that she was asking her. And then he said, screw it, I'm going to go and run for the Liberals. Oh, okay.
Yeah, thank goodness that guy didn't end up as a Conservative. Like, ugh.
So he got absolutely killed in this with only 7,285 votes, only 22.5% of the vote. Now, the interesting thing here is that the NDP retained only 10.4% of the vote. Like, remember, this was what was projected. 20%. And they retained 10%. So that should be a signal to the NDP. And the signal is, Jagmeet, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. People see what you're doing and they're not happy about it. Okay? They're not happy. But now that we have, now that we know that we can have some measure of accuracy in the federal polling, because it was pretty accurate. Liberals were at around 20%, Conservatives were around 55%, so it was pretty spot on. Let's take a look at the latest polls since the announcement of the pharmacare bill.
So this is the most recent poll from Nanos Research. It was released on March 1st. It was done a week after the previous one. And in that week, we received the pharmacare announcement, quote unquote, pharmacare announcement from Jagmeet Singh and the NDP. You would think that would have made their voter base happy and that their polling numbers would have gone up. Unfortunately, you'd be mistaken.
And the interesting thing is the Conservatives the Conservatives gained 2 full points. That's a massive amount, folks. 2 full points in one poll. And this is the largest lead that Nanos has given the Conservatives under Pierre. Almost 43. That is huge. Now, it's not going to stay at 43. That's going to come down. So just be prepared for that. But it's the highest ceiling that they've received. Now, if you look, you can see that the Liberal Party, they went down by 0.1. So they're still continuing in their gradual free fall. And the NDP, they dropped 0.7. Now, that's a lot.
Especially because they announced this quote-unquote pharmacare bill.
Right. Where's all the throngs of people cheering at their door? Finally, we have our pharmacare. Thank you so much, Jagmeet.
Well, because it wasn't actually pharmacare. I mean, we've discussed it in our video. And I think Canadians are starting to realize that. And they're realizing, the NDP voters at least, are realizing that their leader has sold them out for like a ghost.
So you have the Conservatives going up by 2 points. So Canadians are not caring any of the quote-unquote negative things that have come out of Pierre Poilievre's mouth. Because Pierre is just speaking honestly. And Canadians are resonating with that. Imagine that. Truth is actually something that Canadians will gravitate to. Imagine that, everybody. And then you have Trudeau, who's just like, here's the thing about the Liberals. They're done. Okay, there's I don't think there's anything that they can do from here on out. They've just been in a gradual free fall. Like, let's go back. So, even just since the beginning of January, right? So the Liberals were at 26.4. They climbed a little to 27.6 on January 12th. Then on January 19th, they dropped to 26.2. They climbed a little back to 27.1. And then they dropped massively down to 24.7. Dropped further down to 24. Dropped further to 23.8, dropped further to 23.4, dropped further to 23.3. This is after their new communication strategy, everybody.
Yeah, this is after they hired Max Valaket.
So they are in free fall. Their brand is beyond redemption. There's not much they can do, if anything.
Well, I mean, they hired a guy who thinks that millennials want to hear about Justin taking his kid to the Barbie movie. Meanwhile, what millennials want is to be able to afford a home, to have a family, and to feed that family healthy, nutritious food.
Imagine that. And the issue with Jagmeet is that this is a big blow to him because, he'd actually climbed a little bit over the last couple months. He was doing a pretty good job since the end of January, putting some distance between himself and Justin Trudeau. And then what did he do? He signs this bullshit pharmacare agreement, which is not a pharmacare agreement.
Yeah, check out our video on that one if you haven't.
Yeah, it's a promise to put in pharmacare, maybe. So, here's the thing. And the other thing that you have to consider is, so what I was informed today is that the bills that are tabled now, if they're not passed by June, they actually have to be resubmitted because it's the end of the session.
I didn't know that either.
I didn't know that either. So they'll actually have to resubmit it next
In the
fall.
fall. Oh, I didn't realize that. I thought it was just, as long as Parliament wasn't prorogued.
So,
well, I suppose that's good news for Bill C-63 then.
Yeah, so when they rise for the session, that's what happens.
Oh.
So it's I don't see this happening unless the Liberals ram this through, which I don't see it happening because they have other priorities. NDP voters, I'm glad you're slowly starting to wake up and see that you've been sold a rotten bill of goods. I really, really hope you continue to pay attention and see that Jagmeet is a used car salesman, and what he's sold you is a tricycle. It's not even a used car. So pay attention, put pressure on your NDP MPs, and let them know this is not what I want. This is not what I signed up for. This is not what we agreed to at the NDP convention back in October. You've lied to us, and if you don't do an about face with this stupid Liberal government, we're done with you. And if you think your numbers have fallen now, just wait.